Hey everybody, I want to talk to you just for a moment about the annotated bibliography. This assignment is something that some of you have already experienced and others not at all. Some of you are somewhere in between. An annotated bibliography really is very simply your citation, APA citation, and we've been working on those, so you know what a citation is. That is the bibliography part. Biblio stands for book. We don't always use books now. Sometimes we use journals, articles, newspapers, etc. But whatever we're using, we have that citation. Annotated or annotate means to note or to take note of something. So an annotated bibliography is our source and why the source is important for our research. That's the annotation. When you look at the source, you're going to want to ask yourself, why is this important to what I'm doing? How am I going to be able to use this in my research? And how does it match to other citations, other articles, other pieces of writing that I'm using in my research? Okay. All right. This is an example of a citation. Okay. Note in your document, you'll use that hanging indent. And if you don't know how to do a hanging indent, just a very quick Google search, along with whatever you are using to write your annotated bibliography or your papers. Some people use Google Docs, some people use Word. So if you just Google hanging indent Google Docs, then you can find a little video or some information on how to create that hanging indent very simply. So you'll have a hanging indent. I can't do that in PowerPoint, but this is an example of a citation minus the hanging indent. Okay, that's what your citations look like. Then we have the annotation piece, and you're going to make sure that you include a few different items in your annotation, in your notes about the article. Okay, so each annotation is going to do two different things. The first thing it's going to do is it's going to it's going to address the main idea or the summary, the focus of the article. What's the article emphasizing? What is the article arguing? Why are you using it? What in the article is important? When we talk about summary, we talk about like watching a movie and summarizing it for a friend. We talk about reading a book and summarizing it for someone else who might want to read it. So what is the summary? What is it about? What's the main focus? And then how accurate is it? Some of the ways you can tell how accurate it is by looking at the conclusions reached, what was found out, how that information in the article was deemed accurate, whether or not there was some bias, okay? And also the credibility. We're going to look at who prepared it, why we should believe them. Are they an expert in their field somehow, okay? So if I was doing this is a Peanuts commercial. Some of you are doing commercial analysis. Others of you are doing short story analysis. If you're doing a commercial analysis, this is the Peanuts commercial, and you would be analyzing the commercial itself. So it's the Mr. Peanut guy here. That's why he's here. All right. Then once you have the summary and you've looked at whether or not the author is credible and if the information is accurate and you've got that piece together, then there's another little small paragraph that follows that. And that little small part tells us how you might use this source in your paper. So for this part, you can use, okay, how might you use the source in your paper? Why did you choose it? Why this source and not another source? What is important about it? Okay. Right. Here's an example of what this is going to look like. This is one entry. Okay, you're going to do more than one entry, but this is one entry. Here's an example. This is using an ad. And again, remember that yours would have a hanging indent. Then under that hanging indent source, you will have the summary. In Mass Appeal, a professor of sociology and social thought at Williams College. Okay, that's my credibility. I'm telling you that this information is coming to us by way of a professor of sociology and social thought at a college. So being able to speak about mass appeal in an ad is something that he or she should be able to do. Okay, so this professor analyzes the inner workings of modern advocacy, from commercials to public service ads, and its roots in advertising and public relations. The main point of the article is how Americans are living in a world littered with messages that advocate change or favor political causes or argue pleadingly for one brand over another. That's our summary. If you read the whole article and someone asked you, what was it about? That would be one way that you could explain to them what it was about. Okay. Then this is a trade journal and not a peer-reviewed article, and the author is not listed. This is not uncommon in trade journals, but it does mean that I will have to research further to establish accuracy of the information. So you don't, just because you use something doesn't mean that you have to be able to prove the accuracy immediately. It's okay to say something like this, but it does mean that you have more work ahead, because it does mean that you're going to have to do some more to make sure that that particular type of information is going to be accurate before you use it in your paper. Right? And then there's the piece that I told you, that second little piece, that second little paragraph that says how you're going to use it. So in this case, we're looking at a commercial, and we're saying the article offers several examples of how ethos plays out in commercials. Ethos is ethics. This is the main idea of interest to me for my research, as I chose one commercial that uses ethos and one that uses pathos. This article, along with one that researches pathos in commercials, will give me a good balance for my own analysis. So in that little paragraph, you're talking about why it's important to you. Note when you're writing your own annotated bibliography that you will not use these words in blue. I only have them in there just to help you understand kind of how to put together that first paragraph. Notice neither of these paragraphs are terribly long. I'm not looking for something that is terribly long. I'm looking for something that adequately summarizes, offers me a look at the credibility and the accuracy of the article you're choosing, and how you're going to use it. Okay, it doesn't have to be terribly long. Here's another example. Smith A, 2016, Journey into the Unknown, American Literature, 22-3, pages 4 to 5. Okay, so I automatically know that this particular article, this particular writing, is something that has been published in American Literature, which is an anthology. And it is an anthology that's used in colleges and universities. And so that is going to tell me that what is being presented is at least I'm going to assume that what is presented is accurate, because it is likely peer reviewed and it has been vetted to be able to be in this piece, in this anthology, in this book. Okay. Smith is a well-known Hawthorne scholar who teaches on his work and presents his research at conferences yearly. That's my credibility. So I'm telling you right up front as the reader, here's how I know this information is credible. This is an article on Young Goodman Brown and Eudora Welty's Worn Path. So it looks at two different short stories. And it's being written by a Hawthorne scholar. So I'm going to know in my head that it's going to skew probably a little bit more toward Young Goodman Brown, because he's a Hawthorne scholar or she's a Hawthorne scholar, correct? Okay, but I know that this is credible and accurate. Okay, and then the summary part, it compares, discussing the protagonist's journeys as a focal point. The article examines these two main characters and their different paths in life. Those paths led Young Goodman Brown and Phoenix Jackson into the forest on very different quests, but both were determined to take these journeys that were emotional, meaningful, and dangerous. So this could be, I could be doing a compare and contrast essay, right? That is one of the things this would be a good compare and contrast essay, because both of these main characters went into the forest on different quests. So summary of what the article is, and then how I'm going to use it. Smith's article offered a fascinating perspective on the motives and outcomes of these two desperate characters and their life paths that led them into the unknown. I gained a better understanding of my character, Phoenix Jackson, by reading this article and contrasting her with young Goodman Brown. There are several quotations and ideas I will be able to incorporate into my final draft. Notice the use of I. You can certainly use I in these, and that it, again, is nothing terribly long. It just includes the three things that I want you to include: the citation, complete full citation, not just a URL, the summary, including credibility and accuracy, and then how I'm going to use it, that second paragraph. Okay. All right, so here's an example. This is actually what yours will look like. Okay, APA Annotated Bibliography. Make sure you have page number in the header and that you center Annotated Bibliography in the middle at the top. And then you have your citation. Here's your hanging indent. Okay, so your citation and then your annotation. Okay, this is the annotation in here. And then here's your second one: citation, hanging indent, and then the annotation. Okay, yours will actually be two little paragraphs in here, and that's it. That's what you're going to be doing. It will be about a page, maybe a page and a half. Again, if you write more than a page or a page and a half, that's fine, but it's not necessary to get the information out that you need to get out. The whole purpose for an annotated bibliography is to explore pieces of writing to see if you will be able to use them in your research. It's kind of like note-taking. Right? You're taking notes on each thing that you look at, and then in the end, you're deciding which of those things you're going to include in your essay. All right, that's it. That is all I have for you right now. Go forth and do wonderful things.